Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and today we're going to be taking a look at battle lines, and specifically we're going to be looking at the top 5 cards in each rarity. So common, uncommon, rare, and epic. There are a few exceptions when it comes to rare and epic. There are just so many good cards in this game, but I went ahead and picked out the top 5 for each category, and we're going to go over them right now. But first, if you're just now finding my channel, consider hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the newest content. All right, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and go into the card collection here. And then I'm going to go to card pack, and I'm going to sort this by rarity. And then we're just going to start at the bottom and go up. So I'm going to give you my top 5 cards, and then I'm going to give you an honorable mention. Like I said, there is an exception when it comes to rare and epic, just because there's, again, so many good cards. But we'll start with our uncommon cards first. Our common cards first. Before we get into the top 5 for each one of these different rarities, I do want to say that these are cards that I am seeing very common in Arena, and they are pretty successful. They've been very successful for me, so this is just my thoughts on what the top 5 cards should be. Also, just because these are the top 5 cards in each rarity doesn't mean that they make the best combination when it comes to a deck. So you're going to want to adjust the deck as you continue to prove that deck out. You're going to want to adjust and add some people here, because we're not just going to be playing with these cards, but these cards definitely will increase, in my opinion, the success of your deck. All right, so let's go ahead and get to it. First is going to be Stick. Stick is a great card. You throw him out there, he's 0 cost, and every time an action card gets played, whether it's you or your opponent, you're going to buff Stick up. Typically, people are going to start using their action cards on Stick to get him out of the way. The cool thing is you can continue to bring him back, so he's a great card. One of the counters to this card is going to be the virus card, the techno-organic virus. Typically, it just kills him. Next is going to be Sharpshooter Arrow. So this is a 1-cost card, but it does a high amount of damage. At level 1, it does 500 to 700 damage. It could easily clear some of the mid-level cards that your opponent's going to play. But it's a low-cost, high-damage card, so that's why it's on the list. The next card is going to be Misty here. Now, Misty, she ramps up. So she's on this list. She's a 2-cost card. She continually gives you cosmic fragments as long as enemies are nearby. And as you level her up, she gets pretty powerful. Right now, I think I have her at level 2, and she's over 500 attack and over 500 hit points. So she's definitely a force to be reckoned with when you throw her on the field. And she's really good on those decks where you're trying to collect as many cosmic fragments as possible. Next, I don't think this is going to be a surprise to anybody. It's going to be Paige. She is awesome. She's low attack. She's 240 hit points at level 1. When you knock her out, she gives you cosmic fragments, and you can constantly throw her out there because she's at 0 cost. She's great. I don't think I've seen a deck without her. All right, the next one is going to be Common Enemy. This is a really good card. At 1 cost, you can do massive damage, especially if you set up right. If you throw out cards that have over 1,000 hit points, this card here will take your characters, your cards, and your opponent's cards and take them, and they all attack one enemy. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised at seeing this card there. It's very useful, and again, really gets rid of those high-level cards. All right, and those are your top 5. Now, I do have an honorable mention. I know I see Gwenpool quite a bit, too. She's going to be my honorable mention. And the reason for that, so at 1 cost, she's pretty good, but she just eliminates all of your cosmic fragments. You can't choose how many cosmic fragments. This would be cool for her if you were able to choose how many cosmic fragments you wanted to sacrifice in order to play her. She's useful. I think she's situational, but I do see her fairly often in Arena and other decks, so that's why she's an honorable mention. All right, into the uncommon cards. So the first one, again, I don't think this is going to be a surprise, is going to be Techno-Organic Virus. This is an excellent card for all of those cards out there, and you're really going to see them in the higher levels of Arena, where the cards have sustainable abilities. I talked about this in a previous video, and these, what I'm calling sustainable abilities, are abilities that trigger every single turn, or you can call them a proc. So this is going to be good against, Thor, this is good against She-Hulk, Drax. It really stops them from buffing up. It stops them from doing damage. Malekith, this is really good for. I tend to use this card specifically on those characters and not take those characters off the board. And the reason for that is because if I take them off the board, they're going to be able to come back. So I typically will leave them on the board. It really depends on the match. But a lot of the times, if I can get away with it, I'm going to leave those, the Thor and Malekith and Drax and stuff like them on the board and more block their moves than allow my opponent to be able to replay them. Tactical Retrieval. This is an amazing card. This, again, I think belongs in every single deck. And it just, you're able to pick a Cosmic Fragment up off the field. Now, I typically use this really early on. I know that there's some players that use it later in the game so you can get the higher count Cosmic Fragments as the game progresses. But for me, my goal, especially with my Arena deck right now, my goal is to get to 4 Cosmic Fragments as quickly as possible because I'm using Iron Man. And keep that 4 and higher. It's got the added benefit of adding hit points to nearby allies. It's not something I use very often. I don't use that strategically, but it's a bonus. And when it happens, it's cool. Next is going to be Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is a very good card. It's a 2-cost card. It does quite a bit of damage. Deals 400 to 600 damage by summoning Chain Lightning. And then as it spreads to nearby enemies, it's going to do 100 less damage. I've seen this card take out 3 cards at once. It's not a super high cost, but you definitely want to use this strategically. All right, Black Cat. Black Cat's going to round out our top 5. And the reason why she's in there, she's a 0-cost card. She, I believe, belongs in every starter deck. Well, not starter deck, but every deck. And the reason for is because whenever you move her, she's going to grab a nearby fragment. It's another way to quickly build up your Cosmic Fragments. And then the honorable mention for this category is going to be Daredevil. Daredevil's a great card. You level him up. He has a good amount of attack and hit points. I think I have him at like level 3 or 4. And when you summon him, he's going to deal damage. This guy is useful against Scorpion because you can throw Daredevil down. He'll do that summoned damage and then take Scorpion out and not be impacted by Scorpion's special ability. He's an honorable mention, and the reason for that is because you can't control who he hits. You can only do it by throwing him into a lane where there's one enemy. Otherwise, it's a random enemy, unfortunately. So the next category is going to be rare. This one was really difficult to boil down to 5 cards because there are so many good cards in this category right here. But what I did is I went ahead and I boiled it down to 5, but I also gave, I should probably do a top 10, but I also gave it 4 honorable mentions. First one is going to be Yaka Arrow. Again, I don't think I've seen a deck without it. It's a 1-cost damage card. It does 800 damage because you're going to do 400 damage twice to a target enemy. That's an insane amount of damage right off the bat. Next is going to be Malekith. I don't have him yet. I really want to. I see him in Arena a lot. He's a 2-cost card, and on every single turn, he's going to do 270 to 310 damage. I use Virus on this guy as soon as he gets popped out there. The Hulk. Hulk is a fantastic card to have out here. You're going to throw him out there for 3, so he's a pretty high-cost card. He's going to do 340 damage to a nearby enemy with the highest attack. So this guy is really good for clearing the battlefield, for getting rid of Scorpion, because when he does the damage to Scorpion, he doesn't get impacted by Scorpion's special ability, and your opponent's going to try and get rid of him pretty quick. Drax. So Drax gives you an attack of 150 and hit points of 150 every single turn. He comes out at 460 and 660. He's just, you need a grower, in my opinion. You need a grower in the Arena, and he's definitely going to be one of them. If you don't have Drax yet, there is one in the honorable mention that I'm going to throw out here in a minute. But Drax, fantastic card. He's 2 costs. You can usually get him out there pretty quick. Next is going to be Scorpion. Scorpion is a 0-cost character card, and I think I may replace one of my 0-cost character cards with him once I get him, or I'll just add him to my deck. If Scorpion deals damage to an enemy, then he's going to knock that enemy out. It doesn't matter how many hit points that enemy has. It could be a 2,000 hit point Hulk. He's going to take him out, as long as he does damage to the other character. Now, if there's characters with persistent abilities that do damage or summoned damage, then his special ability, as I've mentioned before, is not going to transfer off to that character. Definitely a good character, one that I see a lot. I see in most decks. So there you go. There's your top 5. And let's go into the honorable mentions. All right, the first one's going to be Squirrel Girl. She is an excellent card for PvE. She's not going to do much in PvP because usually when she comes out, people either throw Techno-Organic Virus on her or just get rid of her right off the bat. She is low cost. It's only one Cosmic Fragment. She is really good for PvE. She does fantastic. I use her in every deck that I use in Spec Ops. That's why she's an honorable mention. Spider-Gwen. Like I said, this category has a lot of good cards. Spider-Gwen, when you throw her out on the field, she's low cost. She's got a decent amount of attack, but low hit points. But whenever your opponent uses an action card, she's going to snag Cosmic Fragments. With decks that are focused on building up Cosmic Fragments and maintaining a high number of Cosmic Fragments, she is awesome to have in there. A couple things that I figured out with her as I've used her in my arena deck. It doesn't matter what the action card is, she's always going to grab that Cosmic Fragment first. One thing to be careful of with her, do not use, what's that card? Storm and Eradicate. That card where you target Cosmic Fragments and then blow those Cosmic Fragments up to do damage to all the cards around. What she's going to do is as soon as you play that card, she's going to snag that Cosmic Fragment, and then it's not even going to go off. You're not going to do any damage. I got caught up in that a couple different times, so be careful with that when she is on the field. Guide to the Afterlife. So this one selects a specific enemy with less than 1,000 hit points and removes them from the field. That covers a lot of characters. I see this from time to time in the arena as well. It is limited to 2 enemies with less than 1,000 health, and it does take 2 Cosmic Fragments, so make sure that you use this wisely. And then the final card is going to be Thor. Reason why I have Thor in here is because he's high cost. He does 320 to 340 damage, which is awesome, but he does have a high cost. I feel that Malekith being in there for 2 Cosmic Fragments rather than the 3 and doing fairly similar damage on a consistent basis. That's why he's an honorable mention. He's just a high cost card, and I think that Malekith makes for a better addition to the deck if you have Malekith. So for me, there are 3 must-have cards in Epics, and then there's an honorable mention in here. I could probably just throw that in there, but I wanted to kind of keep that theme, right? The first one is going to be Thanos. Thanos is a fantastic card. You throw him out there. He is high cost, but he does do quite a bit of damage every single turn. Next is going to be, I don't think this is a surprise, everybody should probably have Doctor Strange right now, because I think you get him by connecting to your Facebook, if I remember correctly. He's a high-cost card. In my opinion, he's a finisher. He's someone that you bring out when you know that you're going to win the game. I use him quite frequently in Arena. You summon him. He gives everybody a shield, and he's got a high attack, and he's got high hit points right there. So fantastic card to have in your deck. The other card I'm going to throw in here is going to be the Destroyer. So on every turn, he's going to consume 2 Cosmic Fragments and then just wipe out an enemy. It doesn't matter who that enemy is. He's going to wipe that enemy out off the battlefield. He's got 470 attack and 990 hit points. Just crazy. And then the honorable mention, or you could just say that there are 4 in the epic category here, is going to be Iron Man. So Iron Man, again, is one that you get fairly early in the game. You summon him. The reason why, in my opinion, he's more of an honorable mention is because when I build a deck, I like very little RNG as possible when it comes to putting a deck together. And when you throw him on the field, he's just going to select 2 random enemies and do 170 to 200 damage. Random enemies and a random amount of damage between 170 and 200. So that's why he is in an honorable mention for me, but still a good card to have in the deck. And there you go, everybody. That's what I had for you today. The top 5-ish cards in each rarity. I'm curious, did your cards make the list? What cards do you feel that I left off this list? All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. Join us in my Discord. Both links are on the channel page. And if you liked the video, make sure to let me know by hitting that like button and sharing your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.